It's time for a little comedy, a little content, and a lot of conversation. It's the Geno Jones Show, exclusively right here on YouTube. Now here's your host, Geno Jones.
It is showtime. What's happening, everybody? I hope you had a great weekend. The Geno Jones Show. That's me. You can see the sign behind me, see the name. Monday through Friday, 7:30 p.m. Eastern, 6:30 p.m. Chicago, 4:30 p.m. out on the West Coast. The Geno Jones Show brought to you by CojoLLC.com, COJO LLC.com. Courtney Johnson, if you're looking to buy or sell a home in the Carolinas, South Carolina, North Carolina, wherever in the Carolinas, she's got you. Reach out to her. You can go to her website, Kojo LLC, COJOLLC.com. Call her. Tell her you were watching the Geno Jones Show and you're looking to buy or sell a home in the Carolinas. 843 area code 543-4022. So 843 is the area code 543-4022. There we go. Tell everybody to subscribe to my channel. I only need about 54 new subscribers to become a YouTube partner. That means YouTube will monetize my company, my media company, and this show. It is so important that we support black-owned businesses. It is so important we support all black-owned institutions because the holiday blackout is coming real soon. Pull our money out of this economy. I know Thanksgiving is Friday, but pull it out. Shut these retailers down. Now, if there's some black-owned businesses, you want a small business you want to support, I'll be talking about that all week. But these big retailers and these corporations and CEOs that's funding and supporting this cult, this MAGA cult, nope, we're not doing that. now, and see how they worked out for Target. So you want to anti-DEI everything, so let's anti-DEI our money. See how that's going to work out for you. So we'll get into that. I'll talk about that more later in the show. And like I said, it's going to be a regular part of my monologue like every day, reminding everybody. We blacking out this holiday. You talk about Black Friday, it's going to be a black holiday. Not just Friday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. The SOS band had a song that was a big hit in the mid-late 80s, Saturday Love, and the hook was Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday Love. It's going to be Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. It's going to be Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday Blackout. Maybe I can get Jimmy Jam, Terry Lewis to go ahead and give me some beats, put up under that, and we'll go ahead and get in the studio. They can dress my voice up to make it sound like I can sing. All right, let me start off. I got a guest, Pastor Thomas Dixon, chairman of the Charleston County here in South Carolina Democratic Party. Got some important things to talk about. Part of that is this holiday blackout. But first, speaking of blackout, I want to lift the people, our brothers and sisters, the people of Jamaica, up in prayer, because they will probably be facing a blackout when it comes to power. If they're not already beginning to experience it, lift them up in prayer for those who believe in the power of prayer. As Hurricane Melissa is scheduled to hit the western side of Jamaica late tonight, early Tuesday morning. I just looked at the Weather Channel. Sustained winds at 175 miles an hour. That's basically like an EF3 tornado, which could do major damage. And usually tornadoes, just 20, 30 seconds, less than a minute, it'll hit your house and move on. But these winds are expected to be sustained for 12, 16, maybe 18 hours, over half the day, most of the day, overnight, tomorrow into late Tuesday night. So it's going to be catastrophic. So those that believe in the power of prayer, and just whatever you believe, prayer, positive thinking, love, light, the people, the brothers and sisters of Jamaica, they need all of it. And then they're going to need our support financially and everything else after this storm, unfortunately. So we pray that there'll be no loss of life, but it's in the Creator's hands. I wanted to start off that way. Also, I want to shout out So if you are a fan of the Food Network, I know you've checked out Kardea Brown, the sister she was a star on the Food Network. She's got her own show, and she has her own restaurant right here in her hometown of Charleston, South Carolina, at the Charleston International Airport. So congratulations to Kardea Brown. All right, Sister Kardea, you've got to come on the Geno Jones Show. We'd love to have you on. So I got to make it a point to reach out. But if you all know Kardea, tell her I shouted her out, and tell her to reach out to me, shoot me an email, genojonesshow@gmail. All right? And that's also the email address you can use to support this show financially, and I'll give you those details, Zelle and Cash App later in the show. But big shout out to Kardea Brown. I've seen her show. Sister, she just charismatic, just down to earth, and she's a Charleston, South Carolina native, and she really honors the Gullah Geechee culture here in Charleston, South Carolina. Just hearing the Sea Islands, that they call it the Sea Islands, the Carolinas, from like the southern part of North Carolina, the coastal part of South Carolina, into parts of Georgia. So big shout out to Kardea Brown. And her show won an Emmy. Big shout out to you, my sister. So let me go ahead and pivot here. Let me make a segue. The government is shut down because MAGA is protecting pedophiles and taking away health insurance for roughly 20 million Americans, taking away the money for Medicaid, Medicare, and SNAP benefits, meaning starting on Saturday, November 1st, millions of people, 42 million people in America, and the majority, by the way, are white Americans. Because I know some of y'all think that the only folks that get SNAP benefits, the EBT card, they used to call it food stamps back in the day, this little EBT card, the government puts money on there, or basically like money, where you could take the EBT card and purchase most groceries. Well, that's about to be out as of Saturday, once again, because the cult and Orange Hitler is taking that money away from families, children, elderly, shut the government down, shutting down SNAP benefits, taking away health insurance through Medicare and Medicaid, and the SNAP benefits for roughly 20 million. Now, 42 million Americans are on SNAP. About 44%, somewhere 45% are white Americans, primarily white single moms. If you broke down by like demographic in terms of race and gender, on age, the typical face of someone that collects SNAP benefits would be I'd say a white woman, probably mid-20s to mid-30s, somewhere in there. So it's not an opinion, it's a fact. You can do your own homework and research, but it doesn't matter. The fact that these are 42 million humans, people, children, elderly, families. Here in South Carolina, almost 600,000 people, over 260,000 households receive SNAP benefits. So billionaires can get a tax cut, and they can protect pedophiles by not releasing the Epstein files, which are going to come out eventually. So, and whoever's in the files, oh well, ass out, don't matter. So, now to talk about this more in detail and in depth, part of the Geno Jones Show family, he is the Charleston County, the chairman of the Charleston County Democratic Party. He's a pastor, been a community activist. He's run for U.S. Senator, for mayor. So the brother's got all kind of receipts, and he's got his trademark cold-blooded, I don't know if that's silk or mohair, his red. Those here in the Charleston, South Carolina, Metro in South Carolina, know that the look you see, that's the Chicago swag, but it's part of it's like his trademark signature. You know it's authentic when you see that red scarf. Pastor Thomas Dixon, my brother, welcome back to the show.
My brother, it's so good to be here. Thank you for inviting me on this evening, especially at this critical time, critical juncture we're in right now in our nation. And it's a junction that many in our community are not willing to admit that they're at the crossroads and don't know which way to go.
So listen, Pastor, listen, you can start wherever you want to start. I kind of set the table. Of course, we're still in the shutdown, second longest in U.S. history. Ironically, the longest shutdown I think was 35 days. And who was in the White House? Oh, the dude is there now. So maybe he wants to break his own record. We know he wants to take the money, like we said, the money away from uh, roughly 20 million Americans, the money that will fund Medicaid and Medicare, and the money to fund SNAP benefits. He wants to give that money to his billionaire buddies who was at his inauguration and protect pedophiles. So that's the setup I talked about here. Shout out to Dion Tedder. He is calling for the governor. I got a chance to talk to him on the phone. So he's calling for the governor to call everybody, I guess, back in session, all the legislators, the state senators, the state representatives, and to come up with a plan to make sure that the nearly 600,000 people, those are children, women, men, families, veterans, the 260,000 households just in South Carolina alone will be able to have groceries to eat
Mhm.
come November 1st, or make sure
Yeah.
that there's some way that they can replace whatever money is going to be missed without the funding for the EBT cards and the SNAP program to make sure people here in South Carolina, and I'm calling for it. I know the governor in Illinois had talked about coming up with a way to step in the breach. I saw him on camera, Governor Pritzker, a while ago. So that's your setup, Pastor. So
Mm.
you can, I know you got a lot on your plate, so start wherever you want to start, and let us, give us give us your perspective.
Yeah, the first thing I want to point out, especially with Senator Tedder making his statement that he requested that the governor call back the legislators into session in order to address this emergency, because it is an emergency situation. And of course, Senator Tedder is an African American, but there's another African American in the House of Representatives, also Representative Hamilton Grant, who also sent a request to the governor
Okay.
for to set up emergency stopgaps in order to make sure that the people in the communities are taken care of. Now, I haven't heard anything about anyone else that's actually doing anything like that. I haven't heard any media coverage or seen it, but the two brothers then stepped up, one in the House and one in the Senate, and they say we got to challenge this thing because it's people going to hurt. They're going to be hurting. Of course, they're challenging our Republican governor, a governor who is so far up Trump's behind that you can't distinguish him between his belt. Um, I think I said that.
Yeah. Well, you were kind. You were pastor, so I ain't trying to pull you down to my sinful level. But yeah, you were kind.
But nobody from the Republican Party in South Carolina, I haven't heard a word from them about this. While we look at it, as you said, over 260,000 households. That's the equivalent of over 600,000 people who are going to have food taken out of their mouths as of this Saturday in the mouths of their children. And we really don't see those who side with the current president, the current occupant of the White
Thank
House, not a president, he's an occupant of the White House. Those who side with him, you don't hear anything from them saying we need to do something about this.
And let me just,
Probably,
can I interject right there? I just want to
absolutely.
amplify this point that you're making. You were probably getting ready to go there anyway, but we want the viewers to know, first of all, since we're talking about South Carolina, the governor's mansion, the executive branch, legislative branch here in South Carolina, the
Mhm.
state senate, and the state house, all controlled by members of the MAGA cult.
That's
All
right.
control.
Mhm.
Have absolute full, I believe, a super majority. Am I right or close to it?
You're correct. You're correct.
So
So,
they
mhm.
can, with a stroke of a pen, or a couple pens, they could make sure that the 600,000 people in this state will be able to eat and have some type of stopgap or backup. If that EBT card is declined, then Governor McMaster and all these other politicians in this that support voted for this, that can make sure that they vote to make sure that their constituents that voted for them eat.
Well, you know, their guru, their demigod, he literally said that they were not going to open up any contingency funds in order to supplement what's going on right now. He literally said, federally, you're not getting nothing. Too bad. Let them eat cake, you know, to coin a phrase from a bygone era. But even in this state right now, there is a delicate balance that has to be. I learned from State Representative J.A. Moore, I'm going to talk about him in a minute also, that there's a legality in intervening in this federal issue at the state level. But apparently, I also heard that the Governor McMaster, is looking into activating what's called One SC Fund, the One SC Fund. Now, I don't know exactly how that works, so I'm not going to speak on it. And I just heard that. I can't verify that. One thing I am for certain about, come Saturday, we gonna know.
Yeah.
We gonna know for sure. If don't nothing change, we gonna know. And it's gonna be some people out here who might have sat out the last election. It's going to be some people out here who might have voted for that clown in the White House. It's gonna be some people out here who will ask the question, well, why should I vote? It's not important. Who gonna wake up and see it ain't no food in the pantry and ain't no money to go buy no food. Ain't no EBT card and ain't no cavalry riding in. And that is also too late to change that.
That's right.
So maybe we might get some motivated people to get involved in this selection process and this system so that we can ultimately be proactive about our own self-care as opposed to being retroactive. Because when you're hungry, that's retroactive.
Yes.
When you're never hungry, that's proactive. Okay. Yeah. Straight up. So yeah.
And let me say this, Pastor
thing,
Dixon. I just want to coin a phrase, one of the many pearls of wisdom my grandfather said. And this is to Governor McMaster, and this is to all those in the South Carolina State House and Senate. And not just here, but nationwide. But we were focused on here, but this extrapolates or extends to everybody from Orange Hitler. But we know he don't give a shit. He want folks to starve. But Governor McMaster and all those state senators and state legislators, representatives, state house representatives, my grandfather said, Jeannie, you do what you want to do when you want to do it bad enough. So now these are your constituents.
Mm-hmm.
These are your family members.
Mm-hmm.
Some of your church members, neighbors. You can do what you want to do. I'm sure Governor McMaster could look. They do everything else. They didn't want to take money to support Medicare. You know, when Obamacare, they didn't want to take money for the subsidies. They always finagle and find a loophole and the way, or just issue an executive order and dare folks to take them to court. So the point I just wanted to make, especially to Governor McMaster, and to everybody from the occupant on down that's voted for this inhumanity, you do what you want to do if you want to do it bad enough. So we will see, like you said, Pastor Dixon, we will see very soon, unfortunately.
Yep. And a very wise man once said that there's never a wrong time to do what's right. And sometimes even when it comes to, like, we're in the streets, comes a time for civil disobedience, where there's a law in place that the only way that we're going to be able to address that law is to break that law. So we've seen them do it time and time again for stuff they want, just as you're saying. This is going to be one of them times where there needs to be no kind of holds put on what needs to be done, because there's never a wrong time to do what's right. Now I wanna jump back to the shutdown, okay, the government shutdown,
Thank you. Yes.
because there are many people who don't really understand what's going on. And of course, our Republican counterparts are very good at messaging and finger pointing. And they don't believe is that people understand that the other three fingers that are pointing back at them are the ones that are really accusatory. So the Republicans are saying this shutdown is because the Democrats won't just come on and just sign over their bill or go along with their bill without certain concessions. Well, the concessions are the Democratic Party uh, wants to make sure that the subsidies that were put in place in 2021 in Obamacare that continues to take care of people, that those subsidies stay on the table. Okay. Whereas the Republicans would rather people starve and not get their EBT funds in November and maybe even beyond, because they want to make sure that these subsidies are out. Now, what the Republicans are promising, they're saying, okay, well, look, let's do it this way. Just sign over right now, and then we'll address it in the future. Man, devil is a lie. Republicans are.
Say that again, Pastor. You sound like my mother who's
Republicans.
watching right now. Shout out to my mother and Rosalind Anderson. You sound just like her. She said the devil is a liar.
Devil is a lie. If anybody thinks that once the Dems sign off on this thing, that they're going to go back and revisit the subsidies, they're not going to do it. And that's why the Dems are holding out. And the South Carolina, we are addressing South Carolina. When it comes to the ACA or the Obamacare subsidies in South Carolina, we have 600,000 people who are covered by the ACA.
Wow.
97% of them stand to lose that coverage if the subsidies are pulled away.
Wow.
That's 575,000 people. That's over 500,000 people in South Carolina who are going to lose their health care.
And on top of that, now I'm glad you just let's go ahead and build this case.
We're going to do what they call enhance.
You didn't add the number, so you can add that. You were probably getting ready to go there, but just in real time, as you're saying that, I'm like, that's on top of the hundreds of thousands that are going to lose health insurance through Medicaid and Medicare. And then the 600,000 that won't have SNAP benefits. So Saturday, if they go to the grocery store and try to use the EBT card is going to be declined.
And now they get sick.
Millions of people just here in this state affected.
They get sick, they can't go get health care because the health care has been denied because they won't sign off on that. And those folks don't care. They don't care anything about it because many of them, they're good to go. They got good insurance. They're getting paid a good wage off of our money. $176,000 a year of our money. And the government shutdown ain't stopped their check.
Say that.
I want everybody to hear that. $176,000 a year of our money. And the shutdown is not stopping their check.
Now, I know that's for the people in the U.S. House of Representatives. Is that also the salary for the U.S. senators also?
Correct.
And the best health insurance. So they're taking away health insurance for millions of people, but they still want us. They want to use our money. When you get your check and it says FICA, that money that they took out for FICA, that money is to pay for the best health insurance for these same MAGA cult lawmakers that voted to take away your health insurance and take that money and give it to Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg and Jeff Bezos.
And your food.
Thank you. And your food.
And your food. Yeah. And we're not even going to mention the fact that the last I heard, their per diem rate when they're in session is about $200 a day.
Wow. On top of it, and still getting a check, but this Friday, they're going to be hundreds of thousands, if not maybe millions, government employees is going to miss their first full check, but they still gonna get paid on Friday.
When have you heard it mentioned that they wasn't gonna get no check?
You haven't.
I listen to the news regular. I've never heard them say, well, Congress not gonna get their check this week.
Haven't heard that.
Mm-mm.
They're gonna get the check and that per diem, which I didn't realize, that $200 a day.
That's right. And while they're preparing for the next year's sessions, their lobbyists going to be writing them other checks. The lobbyists, right? The gun lobby, the insurance lobby, all of them lobbies going to be writing other checks to them too. They get paid. But they don't care nothing about the people on the ground who are hurting, who are going to hurt. I mean, without them signing in these subsidies, including these subsidies back in or leaving them in place, it said that insurance premiums are going to skyrocket. And why is that? Because first of all, the people are not going to be able to afford them. So the insurance companies are automatically, they're not going to take an L. They're not going to take an L. So they're going to jack up the prices.
It's already happened. The letters and emails have already gone out.
Mm-hmm. That's right. The median premium increase is about 18%. Median, that's the median. But for South Carolina, we could see $1 billion in losses, in healthcare losses to doctors and hospitals.
Not to mention the rural hospitals, once again, in these rural areas that voted 80% for this cult are going to be the same rural communities that's losing all your health insurance, your food assistance, and your hospital closing down.
Absolutely. I believe it's like 300,000 where they're going to actually drop coverage, and 200,000 more will just become uninsured in South Carolina.
Wow! It just in this state alone, really? Wow!
In our state, for a family of 4 earning $80,000 a year, the monthly premiums will more than quadruple. They're gonna go from
I've heard. I even saw some stories. Some families talked about their premium for the year. What they paid was $8,000. That they've already got notices, email, or letters that said that basically that same insurance, that their portion of what they paid for 2025, that was $8,000. For 2026, that same coverage is now going to cost that family $24,000 for the year.
That's right. To break it down monthly, for a family of 4, where the premium is normally about $170, $920. Where they're accustomed to paying $170 a month, $920. Where's that money supposed to come from? Where's that additional money? And then let's just because there's a whole lot of people who have fairly decent jobs who really are not able to live without the subsidies, without the SNAP benefits.
Yes.
So they're using this in order to still eat and live, especially because rents and everything and home ownership is out of the question or too high. But now the part that was available to buy groceries, that's gone. Now the insurance cost is high. Now you got no health care. Now you got this snowball effect where we got a problem. We got a major problem.
Leading into this holiday season. So, but Pastor Dixon, I want you to go ahead and finish your thought process on this government shutdown. And I want to go back and I want to get your perspective on something that I've been talking about and advocating and like I said, get your perspective on it. But I want you to finish up your thought process on the government shutdown.
I just want to reiterate to everyone, because sometimes you got to tell folks a couple of times before they really get it.
Yes.
That
because they do it. They repeat the lie, or as my grandmother said, they stick to the lie.
That's right. What Steve Harvey say? He ride it out.
Hey, Pastor Dixon, if my grandmother thought one of us was lying when we were little kids, she'd say, "Oh, Gina, you gonna stick to the lie." I say, "No, Mom, I ain't lying. You gonna stick to the lie."
But I believe who was it? W.C. Fields, I believe it was. He said that if you tell somebody something loud enough and long enough, they'll believe it.
That's true.
And
There's
yeah,
science. There's science behind that.
exactly, exactly.
Yeah, you
It's
talk to
been proven.
marketing experts. They will. That's all a
Yeah,
part of marketing.
that's right.
There's actual science behind it. That is very true.
That's right. So I just want to make sure that people understand when they hear this garbage talking about the Democrats are the problem in this, the Democrats are fighting to preserve lives. We're the ones, if you just look at our two senators, both black in a supposedly red state, the home of slavery, these two black legislators, one senator, one House of Representatives, they stepped up, and I saw both of them today send out memos to the governor and say, we got to do something. It's crucial right now.
Really?
It's critical
So wait a
right now.
minute. So Senator Tim Scott actually sent out a letter?
No, I'm talking about our South Carolina senators.
Oh, you talking about okay? Yeah.
No, Tim Scott is
Yeah, I was like, wait a minute, hold on. This might be. What were
no,
they claiming that it
no,
was going to be?
no,
What about a month ago, the end of September, the
the
rapture?
rapture.
I was about to say, wait a minute. Did Tim Scott wrote a letter saying that we got to keep preserve food stamps? Oh damn, Pastor, maybe the rapture is coming for real.
Geno, if he did that, we just go on shut the show down and just say right
Right,
on.
because wait, the rapture would be here. Had he did
Yeah,
that meant the rapture was here.
absolutely. No, I was in our state senators
Yes,
and
in
representatives.
State House rep. Yeah,
Yeah,
thank you.
Senator Tedder and Representative Grant. They stepped up, and overall, when we look at those that are fighting right now to make sure that the SNAP benefits are not cut, the Dems that are in the Congress, first off, their hands are tied too, in a lot of ways. But they're at least fighting, and the only method that they have right now in order to fight this is through not signing on and allowing the government to shut down. That's the only method they have. Because if they give in, not only are the SNAP benefits going to be gone, but the health care benefits
Yes.
are gone. And let's just think if you got the SNAP benefits back and your health care is gone, and you can't even take your child in when your child gets sick. And so it's the Democrats that are fighting for this, and they don't have any other way to fight, even though they do have, for every governing body, there's a invisible member. It's called the people. It's called the people. And I want to encourage all of my brothers and sisters, those that look like me, to understand that where the elected officials can only go so far, their sidekicks are the people that need to get out here in them streets and make some noise and get into some good trouble, and let them know that let those on the other side know we ain't playing with y'all. Let's just think, if they looked up, let's just say North Charleston, right here where I'm at right now. We had a rally. Now it's 120,000 people live in North Charleston. And instead of 2,000 show up, mostly white, mostly old, we had 20,000 show up. White, black, Latino, Asian and Pacific Islander, Native American, young, old, all of this. 20,000 strong. That would send a strong message to McMaster, to Matt Lieber, Brian Adams, James Teeple. It'll send a message to the Moms for Liberty folks that's on this school board. We tired of y'all. Enough is really enough. We get the red scarf out. Enough is really enough. But as long as we sit back and we are not that extra one in the room, they're going to treat us. Oh, they'll be all right. They'll be all right, no matter how hungry they get. Oh, if they get hungry, they can steal. If they steal, they can go to prison. And if they go to prison, then we'll keep getting our checks from the prison industrial complex that's paying us to fill up the prisons. So we feed into their narrative in the long run. We have got to understand that we have got to get involved. We got to make sure that when it's time to vote right now, as a matter of fact. We're in early voting in municipal elections. Early voting ends this Friday. Polls are open from excuse the commercial. Polls are open from
No,
8:30 until
it's not
5
a
o'clock
commercial.
p.m.
That's what this show is for. You know that, Pastor. He ain't no excuse nothing. That's what this show is all about: information and
Hmm.
empowerment and education, and done in my own unique kind of
Hmm.
humorous way. But that's why you were here. You got the receipts and the facts and the passion behind this.
And we need to understand that we are that extra that deciding factor, not only in the streets but definitely at the ballot box. And right now we in this municipal election. We got municipal elections right now in 16 towns, right here in the local in Charleston County. 16. I mean Hollywood, Meggett, Ravenel, Mount Pleasant, Isle of Palms, James Island, City of Charleston. We got we got elections and some of these moms for liberty people trying to sneak in. So we need to get out there and we need to go vote right now. Polling's open, early voting until this Friday. Polling places are, there are 5 polling places right now open, and you can vote at any one of them regardless of where you live. And they're open
Give
from
give the viewers here in South Carolina, give them the location if you don't mind. Those 5
that's
locations.
kind of difficult there.
Oh, well, you can give it to me. I'll
I can,
I'll I'll give
yeah,
it. I'll give them out. But they can. I'm sure
yeah.
they could. What SC
Never
votes and
mind.
they can find out the location, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
I would encourage anybody, no matter no matter where you are, to go to in South Carolina, whether you got an election going on or not, go to scvotes.org or the scvotes.gov
Okay.
and check your registration.
Yes.
You can
Yes.
pull up a sample ballot on there. If you're not in a place where you have to if you're in a place where you don't have to vote at, and you go to check my ballot and you fill in the little 5 questions, nothing's going to show up if you don't have to vote. But if you have to vote, it's going to show you who's on your ballot, where you go to vote, and everything. Simple. Takes about 2 minutes. scvotes.org or scvotes.gov. About that much. And the general election is next Tuesday, 1 week from tomorrow.
That's right. Yes.
Polls are open from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Again, we you can check my Facebook page if you want to know who running and who ain't running, or better still, who you don't want running.
Right.
Okay,
Was it,
because
is that Pastor Dixon or Thomas Dixon on Facebook?
you can Pastor Dixon or Thomas Dixon. It's gonna pop up. Okay, it's gonna show up. But well, because when it shows up, it's going to show Thomas Dixon, then it's show in parentheses after with Pastor Dixon.
Okay. Good. All right.
Okay, yeah.
So you all
So
be sure to go to his Facebook page after the show and get that information.
that's where the power is. I mean, we literally could have won. We wouldn't even be going through this had we won last November.
Yeah.
Had Democrats won last November, and they can say Kamala Harris this or Kamala Harris that, and I know there's some sexists out here who's like Mr. Female or whatever, and I don't want to hear that, because compared to where we are right now and what would have happened if she would have won, we would not be here right now. We would not even be having this conversation right now. There would not be a shutdown right now.
Well,
And
the
folks
facts
would not.
are 9 out of 10 black women and 8 out of 10 black men voted against this inhumanity.
Hmm.
So we saw that. But
Hmm.
first, finish your thought, because
Yeah.
the two things I want to go back to something, and then I want to go forward with you as we kind of close things out. But go ahead and finish
And
your thought.
well, I want to make a correction on that too. First off about the elections. Anytime the polls open, we need to go vote. Yes, we need to get in the streets, but the priority is always going to be casting a ballot and voting in your own best interest. And that's all I can say. It's like anything else. We do everything else in our own best interest.
Yes.
When we're out on the ball court, we're playing in our own best interest. We're trying to get the best move together. We're trying to shake and bake and carry on. We're trying to look good for the little gals on the sideline and everything. So why is it when it comes for our representation, our governance, why is it that we're not doing the same thing? So we need to make sure that we're out here in full force, going to the ballots and representing. Now, I heard the numbers that you gave about the voting, okay, but it's kind of smoke and mirrors though, because the reality is that there were a lot less people voting than what that says. See, they measure that number, the numbers
Well,
that you just
that's
yeah,
fair.
yeah,
I
they
guess
measure
the
those
point I was
numbers.
trying to make that just
Hmm.
collectively, that
Yeah.
out of those who voted,
Hmm.
9 out of 10 black women and 8 out of
That's
10
key.
black men
That's
voted
key.
for humanity, not for this inhumanity. Now,
That's
just
key.
to the point that you were making, and I
Hmm.
know where you were going. If I'm wrong, correct
Hmm.
me. Yes, 90 million Americans of all backgrounds didn't vote. So that's a whole another conversation that speaks to what you were just talking about. And let me just, as I throw it back to you, but make sure, I want to go back and talk about the protesting on the streets. That's really important. I want to have a barbershop and beauty shop conversation about that and get your take. But just basically back to voting. When you don't vote, you give people the power who don't have your best interest to do things like
Hmm.
take away food assistance and to take away the health insurance for your grandparents, to take away the money for them to get care or to be able to live with a level of decency and humanity and respect in a nursing home, or have the money to provide the in-home health care and a housekeeper to come by and to cook meals and take them to doctor's appointments and to clean their house and things like that. Or just the health insurance through Medicaid or Medicare for your elderly parents or grandparents or your children or grandchildren. 40, do you know 1 out of 2 births in America is funded in some part through Medicaid?
Hmm.
Half of the children born in America, those births are funded, are paid for through some form of Medicaid. Half in this country. So when you don't vote, to your point, as I toss it back to you, you give other people who want your demise, you give them the power to enact laws to not just take away your rights, but to take away your freedom, to take away your existence as a
Hmm.
human, as a person.
Hmm. Well, I mean, let's just look at the educational system in South Carolina. It's one of the worst in the nation, the educational system. And when things go bad, right? When for other ethnicities, when it go bad for them, it kills us as black people.
Yes. Yes.
It literally kills us as black people. So if the education system in South Carolina is one of the worst in the nation, when it comes to black people in South Carolina, it's the worst of the worst. And that's why we see all of the trouble we got going on. And them same people that should be trying to help us, that are elected to help us, they'll just point the fingers and say, "Oh, all they do is kill up each other, and they like the drug culture, and they and look at their pants, you know." And we sit back and we say, "Yeah, yeah, that's the way it is. That's the way our community is." I'm tired of us being suckers. Straight up, we've been all day suckers for a long time. While these
And
people,
let's
while
on
they
that,
control our lives.
let's fight one narrative and set the record straight. Yes,
Hmm.
that is a segment of our community and culture, but it's in nowhere near the vast majority. Because
No. Mm-mm.
roughly nearly 80% of black Americans don't live in poverty. But that's another
Hmm.
narrative. They basically try
What
to
state?
paint
What
all of us
state?
collectively as
What state?
right. They'll find the most stereotypical looking
Hmm.
young black kid, male or female, and try to project that's each and every one. But they don't do that with white kids. They don't find the most criminal looking mass shooter meth head and project that image of a white kid and say, yes, see, this is all white people, white men. They're all the media doesn't do that, but then
That's 500 years.
yes,
That's 500 years of that.
yep,
You
they
know.
control the media. So let me
Exactly.
just
Exactly.
let me go back. Let's get to this barbershop part of the conversation. I want to get your take because protesting is key. As a matter of fact, the No Kings Day a couple Saturdays ago, actually we
Hmm.
both actually attended, and there's still millions of black Americans that are leery because, with good reason and evidence, is that we know that black bodies are policed differently than white bodies. And we know we have an administration, because we see it in Chicago. We both grew up on the south side of Chicago. My mother used to live a block and a half from that apartment building on 75th and South Shore Drive on the south side of Chicago, where they literally had a Black Hawk helicopter with these domestic terrorists and Nazis dressed up as ICE agents coming down out of a helicopter, knocking down all the doors to all the apartments, zip tying babies in the nude, zip tying elderly grandmothers in the nude. So I want you to speak to, because I know you heard this. We know this is a big concern, which is why, for the most part, collectively, black folks have said, okay, to the white brothers and sisters who didn't vote, or some of you all who did vote for this MAGA cult, but now you effed around and found out, you all need to be in the front instead of us. We've always been in the front. So now you need to be in the front, because that MAGA is going to police you all differently than they do black bodies. So to that, you say what, and give us your take on that. How do you navigate the two? Because yes, it's still important to protest. First, the biggest protest, like you said, is your vote. But there are multiple parts, and when you finish, I want to go to another part of a protest that I know is effective, and I'm pretty confident that you will agree with me too. But speak to navigating, because that's real danger. And you and I both know that. Like we know what police brutality is like growing up in Chicago. So speak to that conflict and that dichotomy. How do black people navigate that?
So I got a different take on that.
Okay. Well, I want to get your take. That's why I wanted to, like we in the barbershop. I wanted to, that's the real sentiment, and that conversation has been going on since November, because we know what this dude wants to do with declaring the Insurrection Act, and we know who he will sic the military on first, because we see it. It's not, we don't have to guess. When
we look at what's been going on in the streets, first off, them folks we talking about need to be out front. They've been out front. They've been out front now for 10 months straight, consistently. Numbers growing. They've been out front. So we can't say, well, it's your turn to get out front when you're already out front.
Well, I think they say they should be leading instead of being in the front. Because you've been an activist for decades. So for many years, people that look like me and you have actually been in the front of those marches and those movements. But like you said, now that you're seeing people without melanin, they kind of get it now. So more and more of them are out front, which is good.
When we hit the streets in the aftermath of George Floyd, there was just as many white people out there as black people. It was a multiracial crowd. It wasn't just black people. When we marched in the aftermath of who was it? I forget. 2013, whatever.
Mike Brown.
Mike Brown. When we marched in the aftermath of Mike Brown, my mind just went blank. It was a multiracial group. It was a multiracial group. But over time, though, and what we've gotten to this dispensation of time right now, somehow or another, we've allowed ourselves to be disillusioned into thinking, okay, this is their fight. They voted him in. When the reality is, when it comes down to the vote, the measurements that they take are of those registered voters who went to vote, or those who went to the polls and voted, not all of the registered voters. If there was 100 registered voters and 50 of them went to vote, that means 50 didn't. But still in all, it's going to look differently when they say, oh, well, if 50 out of the black population is quoted as it, and they say 50% of the registered voters went, that excludes the rest of the population. But when in the streets after George Floyd, in the streets after Mike Brown, in the streets after Walter Scott, in the streets after Mother Emanuel. These were multiracial protesters in the streets after that, right here in South Carolina. I don't see what happened now. All of a sudden, we're saying, okay, well, they need to get out front when they've been out front. And the other side of that coin is, and the reason why I'm so adamant when I speak about it is that I don't like to give anybody an excuse for not joining the protest, and especially black people, because we make it seem like we're afraid of the police or something. And we ain't scared of the police.
Well, let's okay, I'm glad you went there.
Listen,
So let's
we got the YNs. we got
term. That's, you never hear me say that, but I just
I'm using that as a slang.
I know, I know. You see, I had to crack up when you
we got the nasty thugs out here. And if they had any sense of community understanding that this is about protecting their community, they would get out there. But now they can use the excuse, oh, well, we're gonna let them do it. Because we lazy.
Let me just not even push back, but let's, like I said, we're gonna put everything on the table because that's what we do. That's what you do and I do. That's why I love having these conversations. And I'm not saying that you are implying this, but people may have, I can see where some people who are watching live or whenever could say, we're not, the excuse is not, well, because, white folks voted for, so y'all don't need to be out there. There is a legitimate safety concern. And what's the difference from George Floyd, Mike Brown, and these other protests? Even if you want to go back, George Floyd, so you can say, okay, who was in the White House when the George Floyd protests hit in 2020? But what version? The version that we have now that's got more control, that he doesn't have a General Milley that said no kings, no dictators, that there's something called posse, there's a law, posse comitatus. We don't use our own military to attack their own citizens, their neighbors. But this is a different version of this regime. So there is a legitimate safety concern because we see it. So I'm just, and I know you know that, so I just want you to, let's be honest about that and speak to that, because the threat to black bodies is even greater because they've already, and now legislation has been passed that basically police have immunity. And we know that black bodies are going to be policed way different than white bodies. There's science and data behind that. So let's speak to that, Pastor. And I want you to speak to the, just the brothers and sisters that have that. Because I know you've heard the same concerns. So that's why I want to put all this on the table so we can speak to that and help people navigate who have those legitimate concerns. How did we navigate that?
Absolutely. So the first No Kings rally was February 14th, Valentine's Day. No military, no police. If they were there, they were, I guess, hidden or whatever, but no confrontations whatsoever. The next No Kings rally was about a month later, I think it was. No trouble throughout South Carolina. No confrontations, no camouflage outfits, no counter protests. July 4th, North Charleston. No counter protesters, no camouflage, no military, no threats whatsoever. Last weekend, 17,000. No military.
And that's here in the Charleston Metro. You're saying that number?
That was in Columbia.
Oh, Columbia.
The 17,000. In Charleston Metro, we had 3,000 and 2,000 in Somerville. No military. Rarely even saw a cop. They were there, but no military, no threats of force or violence or whatever. So I'm trying to figure out those that are saying, "Oh, we're kind of worried because when we get there, then the violence show up." Well,
No. It's
but
not that when we get there, the
they ain't
violence
been,
shows up. Is
but
that
they ain't been, but
those
they ain't,
this
but they
this
haven't been any.
regime and these out of control ICE agents won't use that opportunity to just make up an excuse. Heck, they could even
What I'm saying though, Gino, is even at the events we've had, and ICE has been doing these raids for a long time. ICE ain't never been to none of our protests here.
we're not here
Not
now,
not a one.
but they've been
Not a one. So
around in
I can only
Chicago,
talk
other
about here.
cities, but
I can only talk about. I can't. I get
they kind of
Chicago got
fell
to
back because
advocate
of numbers. So I'm
for
just
Chicago. They got to advocate for Chicago.
yeah.
They got 5 million people in their metropolitan area. When they show up, 100,000 of them show up.
Yeah.
When we show up, 2,000 show up. So it seems like we would be even more vulnerable because it's less of us. But they ain't been there. The military ain't been there. So to say that, well, I'm worried, because I'm black and I'm gonna be out there and whatever, it's really a mute argument though.
So
Because
do you feel that's okay? No, let me phrase it this way because I know you. I'm not going play Fox propaganda channel because I'm not trying to lead the witness because I know where your heart
yeah,
is. So what
yeah.
I will ask you is that because I know that you respect those concerns and you relate, you can understand that just
Mm-hmm.
we both grew up in Chicago, so we know what police brutality is. We as kids, teenagers, we were victims. So we know that's real, and we know this version of this regime has already given law enforcement the green light. It's even been done legislatively, even from the Supreme Court, that will allow law enforcement to just have less accountability.
Mm-hmm.
And their orange Lord and Saviors told them just hey, be rough, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just that's what. So it is a legitimate concern uh, with all the points you make. So I'm just saying for those who
Mm-hmm.
have those concerns, because I know that you and I both have empathy and compassion. Like I said, we
Mm-hmm.
both were out there, but I understand. So how do we navigate those concerns and validate them and say, okay, we're not dismissing, we're not, looking down on you or judging you, but there's strength in numbers, and it can be done strategic. We can increase the numbers, but we don't have to be like leading the pack. We can be in the middle or in the back. But
So
just like I said,
you were
speak to
talking
those
about
legitimate concerns.
yeah, you were talking about the 75th and South Shore building. Them people wasn't at no protests.
No,
They
they
was
were
at
in
the,
the bed sleep.
in their homes.
Yes.
So I'm quite sure they wish they would have been in the streets first. Maybe it wouldn't have happened to them.
Or
That
well,
that
yeah.
that's the way we should. That's the way we need to start looking at this because if we wait until here we go with the proactive or retroactive, we wait till they come in our front door, ain't a darn thing we can do about it.
No, that's that.
So we need to man up and get on out there. And besides, though, society has loved black people as long as we've been shucking and jiving and singing and dancing, buck dancing, somebody might say. As long as we do that. And the biggest thing right now I've seen in 2025 is where them fans at. These line dancers, thousands of black folk out there popping it and doing their little jig and carrying on. But when it comes time to stand up for themselves and their community, for their children that are going to go hungry because of this regime, for their own health care and everything that is going to get taken away from them, they because it ain't got a beat, because it ain't 803 Fresh singing about it, they ain't doing nothing. They're listening to somebody that's telling them, okay, well, if you get out in front, you're a bigger target. Well, I'd rather be a bigger target out front trying to at least stop what's going to happen to me than laying in my bed and they kick my door down and I get abused anyhow.
No, I'm with you with that. But in all fairness, we are not speaking to you are not speaking to the majority, but you as a person that's been an activist and you've been doing this for a while. So like I said, done it in cities. Like I said, we both grew up in Chicago, so we know what state-sanctioned violence looks like.
Mm-hmm.
We were both, even though I was a kid, I think I wasn't even old enough to vote, but I do remember Daley Sr. They had this legendary mayor, Richard Daley. 68, he turned the police even on white folks. And
Mm-hmm.
Chicago had a notorious history of police abuse, police
They shoot to
misconduct,
kill.
state-sanctioned
kill.
violence. So we get that. So I know where the energy's coming from, but I just want to make sure that at the same time that we address and don't dismiss those concerns, because it's not, and
Absolutely.
'cause a lot of these conversations I've had with people who had voted, who went and voted, there's been, but are saying, especially a lot of black women, and we know that black women are even police a lot of times even different than black men. That's a whole nother conversation. So I want to make sure that we put all that on the table, put it all in context, and have a strategy to where, for those who may be a little hesitant, not because they're, because they don't have a sense of civic responsibility or they don't get it, they are concerned about their safety with this regime. So two things can be true.
I believe, Geno. I definitely believe that you're 100% correct on that. There's a dynamic at place that I think that we kind of overlook that involves the social or the psychological training that we've been put through in our mind that takes us out of the advocacy area and into the complacency area. The churches have contributed to it, and because the pastors they always talk about, well, I'm praying over it. And it's only in recent years when people say, man, when you get up off your knees, you got to go do something. But for a long time, it was like, I'm praying for it. And Lord, here's my prayers. And man, get up and do something. But then when we look at the majority of those who say after George Floyd here in Charleston, most of them.
You mean Walter Scott or the George Floyd protest?
George Floyd.
Okay.
Most of those that were arrested actually wasn't no kind of upheaval in the aftermath of Walter Scott. And even 4 months later, it was Mother Emanuel, and it was still no upheaval. And these people here still ain't got it because they ain't did nothing yet. But I digress. But in the aftermath of George Floyd, we look at who was actually arrested, and 80% of them was white. They was white. They were the ones who triggered it too.
Yes.
When you use the term Antifa, do you think about black people?
Well,
I'm just saying.
People don't. First of all, there's no organization. Antifa is not.
But I'm just saying.
No. You're talking about the narrative that you would see in the media. No,
I'm just saying,
it's usually like a young white kid dressed in all black. Yes.
That's right. So.
But let's tell everybody who's watching this show. First of all, Antifa means anti-fascist.
That's right.
Who wouldn't want to be against fascism? That's what Hitler was all about. That's what Stalin was all about.
Mm-hmm.
So, but once again, it's the media, corporately owned media, that has their own narrative to get views and clicks to help promote the fear and the both sides-ism to get people to tune in.
That the Trump administration and the Republican Party and the MAGAs are also promoting. Mm-hmm. As they talk in their echo chambers about this fictitious organization called Antifa. That is no organization.
Thank you.
There's not one person that can say I am Antifa as a member of some kind of organization, because it's not an organization, but it's how they gear their mind. Their mind. That just shows you and forgive me for saying it, but that just shows you how demented these people are. How weak-minded they are. The Republicans took a term that is for the good. I'm anti-fascist. I'm against fascism, and they made it a bad word.
Yep.
Yeah, they remixed it.
Yeah. Well, they're good at that. They're good at projecting. They're really good at projecting. Basically, they project their hatred and bigotry and project it on others. So,
Mm-hmm.
so the challenge for people like us, Pastor Dixon, is continue to speak to brothers and sisters, to speak to
Yeah.
all humanity, but to
Yeah.
specifically speak to our community and culture, and navigate that. At the end of the day, the strength in numbers, and
Mm-hmm.
we are in a situation now to where we have to be loud in multiple ways. First, one of the first places, at the polling places, show up in overwhelming numbers, like you go into the Essence Festival or
Overwhelming.
the NBA All-Star Weekend. Show up in mass numbers. Show up
Mm-hmm.
like they was out in Vegas to see the versus No Limit versus Cash Money. We need to show
Mm-hmm.
up in those numbers like
Mm-hmm.
that. Organize locally, build out this community, and address the safety issues in one of the best ways, strengthen numbers, and which will lead me to, for tonight, the final point that I've been standing on business, and I want you to speak to that. The way to get people's attention with money and power is to dig in their pockets. People like, well, what's going to make Trump stop? What's going to make, you know what's going to make him stop? Same thing that made him stop and back off on, he was on early, the first week in April. He went batshit crazy, 200, 100% terrorism. He was putting terrorists on islands that didn't even have humans that lived on them.
Mm-hmm.
But in that week in early April, when he went batshit crazy with these tariffs, and then it affected what they call the bond market, U.S. bonds that are sold to other countries. When it affected that market, that's like the big money, boys. Literally, that market, the stock market tanked like $1,600. 1,600% in a day. The next day, all of a sudden, he backed off of that.
Mm-hmm.
Now, some could make it. You could make a legitimate argument that there was some market manipulation, but at the same time, I guarantee you that some of those same big money people that have funded this regime and still fund it, paid him a visit, or he made a phone call and said, hey man, you effing up our money. Now, all this other shit with immigration and ICE, we don't give a shit about that. But you messing with my money now.
Mm-hmm.
I go back. The way to get people's attention with money and power is to dig in their pockets. This is the most important time of the year, economically and financially, for retailers. So, I am calling for a blackout, a holiday blackout. Pull your money out of this economy, and not just black folks, but speaking to the culture and the community. Ask Target. They found out black Americans were spending $12 million a day. We pulled that money out of Target. The CEO got fired. The value of Target stock dropped by $12 billion in roughly 6-7 months. Over $2 million. A $2 million verbal commitment Target made after George Floyd was killed, that they were going to support DEI programs and black businesses. And then when Orange Hitler in January, all of a sudden they punked out and bitched out, well, I guess we're going to review, we're not going to do the DEI. And black folks is like, okay, Target, we're going to take our money out of it. We are spending $12 million a day. I can't think of any business in America that gets $12 million a day from black people. But Target was getting it. They were, but they're not now. So I'm saying, Pastor Dixon, as I throw it to you, just imagine if all these major retailers, if they see, I'm calling for a 100% drop in sales over last year, over last Christmas. But can you imagine, you understand this, you understand economics and politics. If all the major retailers see just like a 20% drop in sales, tell me where those CEIs, where are they going to be on December 26th? They're going to be showing up to 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue or in Mar-a-Lago or both. Hey, man, you done effed up our money. So you gonna have to figure some shit out or pay us because we lost billions. Billions. They're the vast majority of companies, retailers, you know this, Pastor Dixon, they don't even go into the black or they don't see a profit for that year until they hit this time of year. So I know one thing, the way to get people's attention with money and power is to dig in pockets. And you may not be able to get this crazy son of a bitch's attention, but you can get the people's attention that fund him. And if you dig in their pockets, I guarantee you it'll be a different kind of conversation when they show up and be like, hey man, you had to figure some other shit out, but you messed up our money. To that you say what?
Oh man. Black consumer spending for this year is projected to hit $2 trillion.
Thank you. Say that again, Pastor. Thank you.
$2 trillion this year.
Not T, y'all. Trillion.
T. But that was before, that figure was calculated before and estimated before
layoffs,
the government shutdown.
Yes, layoffs, right.
Layoffs, removal of SNAP benefits, healthcare tanking out. I'm going to go out on a limb and say this is probably going to be one of the most unusual Christmas seasons that we've ever seen in our lifetime. That a forced economic blackout is not even going to be necessary because the funds are not going to be there to make it necessary.
Well, I would agree. So let me just meet you where you are. I would agree that it's going to affect it. But I'm like, let's go all the way with this. Like I said, since we have a regime that wants to anti-DEI everything, let's go all the way with this. Let's anti-DEI our money. Let's anti-DEI the NBA and the NFL and college football and the SEC and the Big Ten. If you want to do this, let's do. You know how we are from the South Side of Chicago. It's like, okay, you want to do this? Let's go. But if we gonna go, we going all the way. No limits. So y'all sure y'all want to do this?
I just wish I had that much confidence in my people. And I'm just going to be honest with you. I don't have that much confidence in my people. I don't believe that Cowboy fans ain't gonna watch Cowboy games or go to the games. I don't believe that our folks ain't gonna go buy their kids with whatever money they got stuff for Christmas. One thing I do know for the SNAP recipients who don't get their funds, they're gonna go buy some food if they got some money. They're gonna spend. We're going to spend.
Well, food is different. I'm not talking about. I'm just talking about the retailers. I mean, the whole giving. I said, give them cash. Tell them Trump canceled Christmas. Santa ain't coming because Trump, he deported him. ICE agents grabbed Santa and they sent him to South America. So here's some cash.
We're gonna get the Gucci belt, Geno.
So Pastor Dixon, let me ask you: when you first heard of the boycott of Target, did you think it was going to then in real time in January? Did you? And I know you're going to be straight with me. Did you honestly think it was going to be as effective as it turned out to be?
Oh, I knew it was going to be because of the people I was circulating with, the circles that I operate in, and that's why I know that it wasn't just Black people that effectively made that happen. It was a whole bunch of white people who decided they were going to join in that because they knew it was wrong too. So it was their dollars, it was our cumulative dollars that made a difference. And the same thing will happen in the streets when it's our cumulative efforts in the streets that's going to make a difference. It's our cumulative decisions to boycott even in the aftermath of the shutdown and all these other things. It's what we are able to do together, our conscious decision to come out of our own ethnic box and get into the sandbox with everybody else, knowing that it's some snakes in that sand, and we need to find them snakes as quick as possible, get them out so we can have some fun.
All right, I'm with you on that. I see where you were going with that, but I just, I say they say charity starts at home. I got before I can tell somebody else they need to clean up their house, I got to make sure my house is cleaned up. So that's why we center the culture. But like I've said, I know you've seen because I've blown up your inbox with the link to the show. I've said this is a holiday blackout that those that lean into humanity, because it is a choice between humanity and inhumanity. So it doesn't matter if you lean into humanity, however you identify ethnically or racially, you should want to be a part. You should want to pull your money out of this too. But I'm just saying the blueprint. Yes, that you did had non-black folks that participated, but the engine that drove Target's boycott was black people and primarily black women, because once again, $12 million a day is a lot of money. I don't care who you are. $12 million for a retailer.
I don't know if it was $12 million. We shop at Walmart, man.
Well, no, I'm talking about Target.
I know. That's what I'm saying.
We spent you can do
black
your own
people,
research, but no, because I did, because I was like, I heard that number, I was like, wow. But then when I thought about it, it made sense.
Right, I have to look.
$2 trillion.
I have to look into that.
So $12 million a day is nothing when you talking about we put $2 trillion, not $1 trillion.
Right. So if our economic contribution annually, or this year was expected to be $2 trillion, the question would be, what is the white percentage, or what was their estimated economic spending in this season? And then we take that percentage and we figure out what happened in Target. 2 trillion versus 20 trillion. We figure out what happened with Target according to that model.
Well, and I've been citing this for a while, because I've been following this and doing more and more research. So the numbers are easy. It's a fact that Target had verbally committed to giving $2 million to DEI programs. It's a fact that they pulled back on that because they released statements publicly after January 20th. We do know that this boycott, because a lot of people doubted it, but I mean, there were still many people who talked about it, and it went on for a while, and for months people were like, well, is it going to be effective? Then when we find out, all of a sudden, the canary in the coal mine was, oh, wait a minute, oh, damn, they just fired the CEO. And then, June, July comes out, wait a minute, Target's valuation, the value of the stock, dropped by $12 billion? Disney in 5 days learned that people power. And then now this is not just black people, this is everybody. But to this point, when Jimmy Kimmel was pulled off the ABC network, millions of people were canceling their subscription, with their app. Disney Plus, Hulu, ESPN got a brand new app where you can do everything from watch Sports Center and live sports, and you name the sport, football, basketball, UFC. Hell, you can even gamble. ESPN got their own, which is a whole nother story, because you found these brothers getting caught up on gambling. But ESPN, with all these other companies, they are in bed from a business standpoint financially with betting. A whole different conversation. But Disney stock dropped $6.5 billion in 5 days, which speaks to your people power. So, but we know, one thing we know, and and it was data to back it up, that just whatever white people were spending in America, black people alone were spending $12 million a day. Name me a company, well, I'm just putting it out there almost jokingly, because you already know the answer. Name me any company that would stand to want to lose $12 million a day. Shit, how many companies could even afford to lose $12 million every day? and stay in business.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly. And you get no argument than for me on that. One of the issues I've run into just recently, as I've looked at this upcoming season, I've been talking in some circles about Black Friday and Cyber Monday boycotts, and there's a big reluctance out here to do it, and that's the issue: is how do we get people on the same page to do what they need to do? And see, it doesn't. What I guess one of the things that gets me is that if we talk about the Target uh, boycott being triggered by the DEI abuse and everything, that's a racial issue that energized our people to get involved and our white allies to get involved. But we don't realize that the fascism that's at play right now, that is seeking to kill us, that's getting ready to take food out of our children's mouths and health care away from us. We don't realize in the same way that we realize that DEI was affecting us, that trying to take Black history away from us was affecting us. We don't get that for some reason or other.
Well, guess what, Pastor Dixon?
Because that outrage ain't out here right now.
Well, let's like you said, we're gonna see a lot after Saturday.
Oh yeah,
because it's all theory, it's all speculation and speculative, and you can come up with the fancy word until it comes to your door.
That's right.
Or until it comes inside your house, and
November
it's your
1st.
child or it's your granddaughter that's got a fever of 105, but you can't take her. You take her to the ER. That's your only hope. Or if she's got a rash, but you don't have health insurance to take her, and then you got to go to the ER, which is the most expensive form of health insurance. When your elderly parent or grandparent gets kicked out of the nursing home or that rural hospital that she was in, and all you all depend on, when it shuts down, when you haven't, that EBT card has been declined for 2 or 3 months straight. When it comes inside your house, it's going to hit different. And it's not going to get it. It won't get everybody, but the longer stuff like this, man, when your stomach starts growling and you get them hunger pains, or you see your babies, shit changes. Because it gets real. As they say, shit gets real. It gets real when it's in your house. When it's you, when you watch your parent or grandparent get sick and die because you can't take them to the hospital, or your child. The shit gets real when the food pantry say we don't have any more food.
So when Ackerby or somewhere on the hike becomes 75th and Stony Island.
Yes. You're making my point. So because we know that cruelty and inhumanity.
South Shore. I'm sorry.
No, that's the strategy. That's one of the motivations outside of the grift and stealing, but the humanity, the retribution. His own words, "I will be your retribution." No, mother, it was retribution because the world, America, didn't kiss your ass. Not to mention the racism, the misogyny, and the sexism that's built in.
I remember when Keith Summer used.
It's about to hit real different. And
I remember when Keith Summer used that word.
What word was that?
Retribution.
Because he said it in many of his campaign speeches to his supporters. I am your retribution. He's with thousands of people at a rally, but it hits different when it comes into your house.
That's right.
You realize, oh yeah, you were part of the retribution was against you too. Because he didn't give a shit about you. He just used the racism and the sexism and the transphobia and the immigration raids. That was just to distract you so he could get hundreds of millions, probably billions of dollars to build this ballroom that's probably going to have a bunker underneath, and to enrich him and his his family, and his billionaire buddies for them to
And
kick back even more money.
getting ready for his third term when he eliminates elections.
Well, if we allow that, like you said, if we allow that, so we've got the power, so we have to use it and encourage everybody to use it. And I agree because in closing, you made an important point that I have made on this show. But I start with the culture, our culture and community, and build out to the culture of humanity, because it is simply a choice between humanity and inhumanity. And this regime uses race and gender and class. It's like catnip. That is to keep folks distracted so they can continue to steal all the money and to take the money for your health insurance and for your food assistance and give that money to themselves and their billionaire buddies. And to protect pedophiles. It's just that messaging. It's just that simple, y'all.
Just that simple.
That's the conversation in the barbershop. So everybody, Pastor Dixon, we know that everybody is not going to be on board, with pulling their money out of the economy. We don't need everybody. Like I said, if you see, I guarantee you, we're having this conversation. I've had it multiple times. Today's October 27th, so it's on record. I guarantee you, because I've seen stories, the economists are projecting that sales it's going to be an increase in holiday shopping over last year. Okay, well let's reverse that. Let's remix and reverse that shit. Let those sales not only be 20% less than what they projected, let those retail sales be 20% less than what they were last year. You know that's going to hit different. And it's going to be a lot of CEOs and a lot of companies and stockholders that they ain't going to take it lying down. And
exactly.
they will be paying a visit to Mar-a-Lago or the White House.
Yeah.
Because we know money talks, bullshit, excuse my French, money talks, bullshit walks. And these CEOs and billionaires, they don't even give a shit about him. He is just like the figurehead. All they care is as long as they can continue to make money, dude, you just a figurehead.
So as long as he don't pull that tax cuts off the table.
Come on, say that.
Because if they walk in talking crazy and he just says, okay, well, we're gonna take your tax cuts off, and they're gonna get quiet and get right back in line and go on about their business too. Because money talk.
So
and
do you? But everybody's got a point. You can only push people so far. So we saw that when that bond market dropped. We saw him. We've seen him. That's why they call him Taco. Trump always chickens out. Now we see the Elon Musk. Even though you notice he done got quiet. He went back to Tesla because the stockholders and the board of directors like, yo man, we done lost billions of dollars. You tripping? People can't even trade in a Tesla. So you're gonna have to fix that shit and calm down. We're gonna need you to pull back. Think about it. When's the last time you've seen Elon Musk on camera at all? He's quiet as a church mouse. We used to see him every day on TV. He was sitting in Trump's chair. And his son told him, you ain't the president. We went from that to, where's Elon? Can't nobody find him. Because the folks that's behind his company, and he saw his companies were tanking, even with the $8 million a day in government contracts that he has. So that's $8 million of all of our taxpayer money as Americans. His shareholders, the folks that he's beholden to, and board say, hey man, we're gonna need you to calm your ass down. You're gonna need to come and run this company or do that. And if you don't wanna run this company, we'll find somebody that does wanna run it. And what did he do? He took his ass back there to Silicon Valley and running his company, and basically he shut his damn mouth. So I'm saying that to say, we see the billionaires that he can punk. Tim Cook at Apple took him some trophy, whatever, some crazy gift. And we know Mark Zuckerberg is a kiss ass and Jeff Bezos. But some of these billionaires that you ain't seeing and hearing on TV, I guarantee if they lose enough money, because enough of them can get together and say, hey man, we put this dude, we bankrolled him. So he's beholden to us. Because they can flip on him and he can't go after everybody. And them billionaires, I think we focus on a few billionaires that have bitched out. But it's enough of them that's not afraid of him. Not at all. And if he messes up enough of their money, they say everybody got a price, Pastor. If they lose enough money, that fear factor will, because the fear of losing money is going to be greater than the fear.
Yeah.
So I'm going to give you the last word, man. Thank you for this. It's been a great conversation.
It's been a great conversation.
Everybody viewing, they receive a lot of it. But I want to just give you the final word on the note of humanity. And this a community of humanity, our common humanity, which I have been talking about that. That's why I say it's a choice between humanity and inhumanity. So we all come together. So thank you for that. I want you to go ahead and close to make that point, because I think it's so important.
Right.
And we have to have these conversations to our white brothers and sisters, your allies, talk to your black brothers and sisters, let them know, hey, look, we got your back. We physically, we out in these streets, we gonna be they're gonna have to come through us before they get to you. And then but we know we gonna be out there because there's strength in numbers. So I think those conversations and that sense of community and humanity, because they can't come for everybody. We got the numbers if we come together in large enough numbers. And correct me if I'm wrong, but that's the gist of what you are saying, and the message of inspiration and stepping to our collective power that you're trying to communicate and stress tonight. Am I right?
Yes, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. And one of the issues that we've had consistently is that we act as if we're islands. We're a separate entity from each other, when reality is we're all part of the same collective.
Yeah.
And Nino Brown and his boys in New Jack City, Cash Money Brothers, they used to ask a question, am I my brother's keeper? And even though they was doing dirt out there in the street, killing people and carrying on, they understood one main thing. Yes, I am. And we might mouth those words, but the reality is we don't carry those words in our hearts. We are supposed to be our brothers and our sisters' keepers. So, and as Dr. King said, what affects one directly affects all indirectly. So the raid that happened on 75th and South Shore, that was a direct thing that happened that indirectly it affects us, because one day if we don't do something, they'll come in our house.
Yes.
If we don't voice our opposition to this fascism that's out here, even though it's not directly impacting us right now, the next day it can directly impact us, like Saturday.
Yes.
They got no EBT card and no way to get no food. And by the same reason, because of the shutdown, because the Dems are doing the right thing, trying to force them to do right, we wind up without no health care either. And just like in COVID, how many people have got to die before we realize that the other side been BSing us?
Yes.
He say drink bleach. Fool.
Inject.
But
inject Lysol or ultraviolet like a blue light.
Yeah. And I think he had a whole nother prescription for black people, because he don't consider us the same as him.
Well, part of the narrative was, black people, they can tolerate, and their resistance is higher, so they can tolerate more, so they don't need. Because if you remember early on when the vaccines first hit, it was hard for black people to find a location. It was primarily in white communities. A lot of the communities that voted for Orange Hitler the first time. Because I remember here that when the vaccines first came out in large numbers, certain neighborhoods, our communities, North Charleston or Charleston. You could go to Mount Pleasant in certain neighborhoods where it was predominantly white, and that was common across the nation. Just to kind of piggyback to your point, and then
but anyway it went in that whole situation, because of the inequities in our lifestyles, because of the intentional deprivation that we've suffered under white supremacy.
Yes,
our comorbidities were compromised, and that's why our death toll rose exponentially. Even though population-wise we were third in the nation, we far outseeded the number of deaths in the nation because our systems were weaker because of undiagnosed and sometimes diagnosed issues.
And untreated.
Untreated, yeah. No health care. I digress.
That's why I went there, yes. Yeah, or unaffordable, couldn't afford it. Yes. Yep, no.
That's right. So we just have to get to that point now where we realize that, and this is something that 60 years in the making since civil rights, that lie that we're in a post-racial era, that's a lie. We have to realize that we are still under attack.
Yes.
And the only way that we will win the attack is not like this, but we have to come like this. We have to be Proverbs 6, verse 6 people. And this is Pastor Dixon going to say this. We got to act. The Bible gives us a clear example of how we are supposed to act in order to be successful and to win. In Proverbs 6, verse 6, it says, you want to know how to handle business? Look at the ants. Look at how the ants work together.
Yes.
Now, when I done stepped in an ant pile or two in my day, and they know one ant come out there after me. No one bat, no 5 ants or nothing like that. Before I even realized that my foot was covered with ants. They was biting. And I'm a big old grown human, and I had to take off running. Not only take off running, take off my clothes too.
Right.
Trying to get rid of them. But we are, for some reason or other, people come and step in our ant pile every day, our human ant pile every day, and we go along with the program. We don't say nothing. We don't do nothing. That's what we need. That's what we need.
Pastor Thomas Dixon, let everybody know where they can support the Charleston County Democratic Party if they choose to do so. If they want to support what you're doing and or volunteer, all of the above are needed. Of course, money's always needed to basically help activate and mobilize the public, to get people to turn out to vote and turn out in large numbers. And volunteers are also a part of that. And the other information is on your social media page if they want to get guidance in terms of who if nothing else, who they shouldn't be voting for, like you said earlier. Let everybody know where they can follow you on social media.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for having me, Geno. First off, really appreciate it, homeboy. As far as the Charleston County Democrats, anybody wants to get involved, donate, that's all a part of it too, because we need operating expenses to keep pushing this forward, overcome this fascism that this nation is up under right now. You can go to Charleston Democrats, one word, charlestondemocrats.com. That's where the website is. You can sign up there for our regular newsletter. We got an e-newsletter that comes out every week. You can keep track of what's going on as far as our club meetings and everything. Each area we have a club. We have a West Ashley, East Cooper, North Charleston, City of Charleston, James Island, Folly Beach. We have various clubs in order to divide the county up. And we want everybody, especially people that look like us, to get involved. I'm just going to say it, to get involved. Aside from that, of course, my social media, Thomas Dixon, Pastor Dixon, you can set up a smoke signal and find me. It'll be all right. A carrier pigeon. I'm right here. Okay, right here. But I just want to, before I get off of here, I want to let folks know that tomorrow evening, okay, at Royal Missionary Baptist Church at 6:00 p.m., we have a police town hall with North Charleston PD. And it's addressing the over-aggressive policing that we've seen, looks like a rise of this year. And we're asking everybody, come on in the room. Come on in the room unfiltered. I ain't saying come cuss, but come on in the room and let's talk about how policemen handling us. Okay. The chief need to hear this. He ain't come from North Charleston. I ain't come from North Charleston either. I come from the south side of Chicago, but still in all, we need people to come into this town hall, 6 o'clock p.m. tomorrow, Royal Missionary Baptist Church, town hall with North Charleston Police Department. And then follow up on Monday, next Monday, at the Opportunity Center. That's at 8570 North Rivers Avenue, up by the McDonald's, at 6 o'clock p.m. from 6:30 until 8 o'clock p.m. State Representative J.A. Moore is hosting a town hall there, also dealing with these same things we've been talking about tonight: SNAP benefits, health care, mental health, all of that. He's going to have officials there with the South Carolina Hospital Association, South Carolina Department of Health, South Carolina Department of Social Service, and the Health and Human Services Department will all be there on Monday night to take questions from you.
So where's that location at again?
That's at the Opportunity Center, 8570 North Rivers Avenue, and that's right up by the McDonald's, up on Rivers Avenue, up on North Rivers Avenue. So
that's come on out. Rivers, and I'm trying to think which McDonald's. That's that's just past Northwoods Mall. I know exactly where it's at.
Yeah, up there, up before you get to Otranto.
Yes, yes,
right off the Green Ridge. Yeah,
I know exactly. Yep, know exactly where that's at.
All right, and that's on Monday evening. So there's some things. Get involved. Get it, please, people, get involved. I would love to turn around at one of these No Kings or whatever kind of rally it is. I'd love to look over my shoulder and see my people. Who are called by my name. I would love to see my folks out there in the streets representing. Because
and Pastor Dixon said, look, he got you all's back, but he'll be in the front. He ain't gonna, because he ain't that kind of dude. He will never ask you, and I'm taking the liberty to speak for him. He can speak for himself, and he'll co-sign, but he will never ask anything out of you, his constituents, or just people or humanity in general. He will never ask you to do something that he's not already done first. So I can guarantee you that he will be in the front of the line, and he know I got not his back. We'd be side to side like we were a couple of weeks ago. So
for real. And that's what it's going to take. That's what it's going to take.
He ain't gonna throw his rock and hide a hand and turn and run. That ain't no.
No, and I don't roll with nobody to do. Everybody that I rock with, man up.
I love that, Pastor Thomas Dixon, brother. Always love and respect. Great conversation. We got to make this episode go viral. I think it was an important and honest conversation, and I think that just humanity in general will get a lot out of it. But
that's right.
For our culture and community, we address a lot of the real issues. Some people call them hot topic. We're just being real. Just you can't solve a problem or fix it by ignoring it. So we just it's once again, my grandmother Jean Jones said, "Tell the truth, shame the devil."
Tell the truth.
Whatever the truth. Right, the truth is the truth. Now, you may not like it. You may not want to hear it. You may not want to take ownership that, okay, damn, and the truth is I got to do something about it. So we going to give you the truth. Now, what you do with it is on you. We encourage you to stand in that truth, but.
Because it's still going to be the truth.
Yeah, it ain't going to change.
No, it ain't going to change. And we ain't going to stop saying it.
Now, what we can do, if we come to, like Pastor Dixon said, we can create a new truth. Because at one time, slavery was the truth legally, but until it wasn't. So if you want a new truth, more inclusive, without that bigotry and hatred in all of its forms, we have to create that world. We have to create the world that we want to live in, and that we want everybody else to live in. That's
a word right there. I'm gonna put an amen on that one. It's time for the benediction.
But look, on that note, the doors of the church are now open. That means I'm gonna let Pastor go ahead and enjoy the rest of this evening. We definitely gonna make this episode go viral. Pastor Thomas Dixon, man, nothing, love and respect. It is always a great conversation. got a lot of views and a lot of comments, you know, in the chat room. But we've got the power.
Yes,
I'm
we
just
do.
going to close
That's it.
for real on this, because you've been amplifying that message tonight, and I have. There was a song back in the 90s. It was like a one-hit wonder group, big dance song in the clubs by a group called Snap. I got the power. I got the power.
Mm-hmm.
We got the power, like you said. As long as we spread out, but when that scene out of the movie Soul Food, Big Mama said, when you put your fingers together and form a fist, come together, it's a lot of power when you come together. Thank you, Pastor Dixon.
Remember them ants.
Yes, that was a great analogy, because you see them ants carrying a big stick that looks like this, probably 100 times the weight of one little ant, 1,000 times the weight of one little ant, but they come together like you talking about a crew. They come together like a nation.
for the good of the community.
Yeah, that part. Great example. That was a brilliant example, a brilliant analogy. Thank you, Pastor. Pastor Thomas Dixon, everybody.
I appreciate you.
I appreciate you more for coming on, brother. We're going to make it go viral. Brilliant, brother. All right, listen, everybody. From everybody, great host. I see you talking. Everybody in the chat room, my mother, thank you, everybody. Thank you for sticking around. God bless each and every one of you, and especially you, God, most of all. Thank you for letting me do the Geno Jones Show. Monday through Friday, 7:30 p.m. Eastern, 6:30 p.m. Central Time, 4:30 p.m. on the West Coast. The Geno Jones Show brought to you by Kojo, LLC.com, COJOLLC.com. If you look to buy or sell a home in the Carolinas, call Courtney Johnson. Tell her you were watching the Geno Jones Show. She's got you. 843 area code 543-4022. 843 area code 543-4022. Shout out to Markel Bailey, the official barber and hairstylist for the Geno Jones Show. Check him out on Instagram. Kel be cutting up, KELBECUTTINUP. He's here in the Charleston, South Carolina metro. CEO of Designer Cuts just celebrated their, I think it's a two-year anniversary. Or is it? I think it might be this weekend. I think it just celebrated their 2-year anniversary. Allie Jones, the official wardrobe consultant and stylist for the Geno Jones Show. Check Allie Jones and her collection out on IG, Instagram. Also, Markel Bailey is on Instagram too. IG. Allie Jones on IG, on Instagram, LX.NCL_LX.NCL_. The next live edition of the Geno Jones Show is going to be Tuesday. Please, your financial support for the Geno Jones Show and my media company is so important. It is so important that we support Black-owned media and all Black-owned institutions. So you can financially support the show via Zelle using my email address. That's how you spell my name, is all one word, Geno Jones Show @gmail. That's how you spell it, Geno Jones Show @gmail.com. Or you can use Cash App, $Dad G Jones. It's all one word, $, capital D, lowercase a-d, capital G J, lowercase ONES, $Dad G Jones on Cash App. We'll see you live Tuesday, 7:30 p.m. Eastern, 6:30 p.m. Central, 4:30 p.m. out on the West Coast. For those who believe in the power of prayer, positive thinking, love or light, listen, all of that energy to the people of Jamaica as they get ready to be hit, unfortunately in a devastating way, by Hurricane Melissa. Lift them up in prayer.
Subscribe and tune in to the next episode of the Geno Jones Show, exclusively right here on YouTube.